Welcome to True Health Tuesday, and the truth will set you free. Okay, tonight we're going to talk, it's going to be kind of unusual because I'm going to walk you through what we do at this office, but we're really looking for three keys to health, and it's the stressors. But this is amazing. Okay, this is a picture from some of my patients up in Alaska. Okay, and this is the Freedom Rally you may have heard in Canada. It's spread into Alaska. So these guys, I mean, God bless truckers. Talk about, real people, no BSing around, common sense. God bless you. Now, George Washington, liberty, when it begins to take root, is a plant of rapid growth. We're seeing it right now. Now, luckily, last week I made it through without any censors or without any videos being deleted, so that's nice. But, understand that this is not going to be here that long, okay? So we're in Telegram, we're in BitChute, we're in Odyssey, we're as many programs as we can. But this is a serious infringement of what our rights are. And if you're familiar with monopolies, eventually the truth will come out. But please sign up for the Dr. BVIP. If you haven't done that yet, please do. Save this information, download it, because no site is safe, okay, from the powers that be. Extreme Health Academy, I'm on there at least a couple of times a month answering questions, doing webinars. But if you have health issues, this is a great avenue. And yes, next Wednesday, I'm flying out to Thailand, okay? In a couple of years, when things settle down, I'll let you know how I was able to go. Okay. But it is going to be on February 19th, 2022 at the Galico Gardens. So it's limited to 60 people. It's going to be outside because you can only have an outside event. It's going to be 95 degrees and 90% humidity. And I'm supposed to wear a mask while I'm speaking, and everyone else will be wearing masks. Seriously. But at least we may be able to get some of this information out there so we could save lives. Because we've got to get the information out because they're trying to squelch it. So now the three things. Now think of this: every stress that you're ever under is under three different categories: physical stress, chemical stress, and emotional stress. Now you could put anything you want. The ex-husband, ex-boyfriend. Okay, that's emotional stress. Okay, could be physical stress. Medications, drugs, toxic food, chemical stress. Poor sleep patterns, chemical stress. Physical stress could have been falling off the swing when you were 7. All the myriad of things we go through. All three of those stressors affect the automatic nervous system. And this is how your body adapts to the environment. That means the emotional stress, okay, that you get from watching CNN. Oh, I'm sorry. If you're watching CNN, you're not under emotional stress. You're programmed. Okay, I'm talking like Del Bigtree, okay? This is the truth. Okay, so if you're emotionally upset, instantly this fight or flight system activates. And we have this automatic nervous system that does everything in your body that you don't have to think about. So if you're under a stress, and this is physical, chemical, or emotional stress, you get an increase in this sympathetic activity. And that means that poor blood supply to the gut, heart rate's going to be elevated. Blood sugar is going to be elevated. The liver is going to break glycogen down to glucose. Blood supply to the gut's going to be shut down. So this is a normal, natural response to run away from the tiger. The problem is if we're under chronic physical, chemical, or emotional stress, you're in a sympathetic dominant state. That means you'll be misdiagnosed with a low-functioning thyroid. We misdiagnosed with chronic constipation, misdiagnosed with sleep disorders, misdiagnosed with a bunch of things. And in fact, if you look at these are the delusion of diagnosis. Is high blood pressure a disease or an adaptation? Is fibromyalgia a disease or an adaptation? Is a low-functioning thyroid just because you're freaking defective, although your grandparents were fine? Okay, do you understand? You've been bought a lie. These are adaptive physiologic responses based on the three stressors. Now, we're in a psychotic world where you go to a person in health authority, you abdicate a responsibility over your health, and you say, oh, help. And what do they say? What's the number one cause of high blood pressure? We don't know. But here, it must run in your family. Really, my great-grandpa didn't have it. How would you like to have, high blood pressure when you're running after the antelope 2,000 years ago? Yeah, of course you did. That was normal. Okay, but under chronic stress, it weakens you. Now, how do we check that? We look for the autonomic nervous system. And this is a heart rate variability, fantastic test, and we test everybody. Do we test everybody? Yeah, because if we're looking at somebody with a low functioning parasympathetic, low functioning sympathetic, or sympathetic dominant state, we know that their body is going to be responding in a certain way. Okay, even the muscles on either side of the spine are going to increase in tone. So we get an actual test. Now, the cool part about this is after we do some therapies on that patient, okay, we're going to do the test again to see if we actually fixed it. I know, what a concept. How would you like to go to a doctor that gives you a diuretic or a beta blocker and they say, gee, Bob, you're only going to need to take this for a month and then the problems are going to be fixed? No, you don't get that crap. You got to take this for forever. And then when you come back, because they never address the underlying stressors, what do they give you? Another drug. What do they give you? Another drug. Okay. It's crazy. Okay. So we also do surface electromyography. This is measuring the muscle activity that you do not have conscious control over. The muscles that run down either side of the spine, you don't have conscious control over. They're called postural muscles. This is why the increase in tone under what stressors? Physical, chemical, and emotional. This is why when people say, oh my God, I'm really upset, I can't relax during the adjustment. I say, I don't care. I'm working with stuff that you can't control. Okay, you put a pressure in here, all the sensors relax, muscles relax, you can get in there and knock it out. But this measures that abnormal, that sensory input. What else do? We do a rolling thermal scan. Now, this is measuring the temperature difference one side as opposed to the other, because if you have one side hotter than the other in a segmental level, that means that the organ systems could be malfunctioning. And that is your metabolic response to the environment. Because I'm telling you right now, if you build cells faster than they break down, that's called health. Okay, if you break cells down faster than you build, that's called a lack of ease or a disease. And so wouldn't it be nice to have an objective measure? I mean, to just say, hey, look, you are actually healthy. But you know what happens nowadays? You go to the doctor, you're taking the tube blood pressure, the diuretic, the cholesterol drug, the sleep medications, the ED. Oh, sorry, can't say that. Okay. I once knew a girl that couldn't spell VW. Okay, so you're like this. I know, I'm totally kidding. Okay, and the doctor says, wow, your blood test looks great. And you say, yeah, but I feel like shit. Okay, yeah, but your blood tests look great. You understand there's no objective analysis to this. You have to look at how your body's responded to the environment. Now, this is basically a report of findings, okay, that we go through. So I'm just giving you the number of tests that we do. The digital x-rays, stress x-rays, a bunch to find the physical, chemical, and emotional stressors. And if anybody knows another test, by God, tell me. I mean, we do and we're going to bring you into the full body thermographies and everything else that we do. But when you're looking at this structure, okay, the skull and the central nervous system is encased in bone, flexible bone going down. But the nervous system is the first system that forms in the body, and the organs grow off it like fruit on a tree. So the nervous system controls and coordinates every function of the body. Does it control hormones? Yes. Does it control digestion? Yes. Does it control tissue production? Yes. Does it control the immune system, which is kind of a nebulous system because it has to do with your body's environment and how you respond to it. So that nervous system is fantastically important because without that, you don't live. Now, you can see it's segmental level. Now, you've got nerve supply to the heart. You've got parasympathetic here, because remember, you got that automatic nervous system, and you've got sympathetic up at the top of the thoracic area. Now, if you have a problem at the top of the rib cage, you can see right across the heart's there. Now, the spinal cord stops right at the bottom of the rib cage, and you can see right across in there. What is that? That's the stomach. And you've got the lung function. So does that mean if you have a dysfunction of the lungs or the stomach or digestion, should you look at what controls it? Wow. Okay, so let's look at this guy. What are we looking at the top of the thoracic area? Put big red arrows there. Okay, that is a trauma. Now, this trauma he could have been 7 years old, fallen off a swing. How many people were told by mom not to go down the slide backwards? How many people did it anyway? Yes, I know. You're my patient. I know we all did. You're just not admitting it. Okay, but this trauma, 90% of the nerves come out that spine, there's no pain fibers. So if you say, yeah, man, my neck doesn't hurt at all. It feels really good. You say, dude, you're not moving it. But this right here, that's a problem. Can you see that? Okay, how about you fix it? Can you see the before and after? Do you see a structural change? Now, we didn't just fix the physical. There's 3 things that you have to address on every person. It's not just the physical. What are the other 2? Chemical and emotional. So you can fix the physical, but if they have a horrible diet or in a stressed state, they're not going to break down the nutrients. Here's another patient, 67 years old, chronic pain, low back pain, hip pain for a long time, but that's not just it. Digestion problems. Where are the digestion problems coming from? If anybody here says, from a chronic sympathetic dominant state, I'm going to hug and kiss you on the cheek. Well, you got to shave first, but okay. Yeah. Okay, so where's the digestion coming from? Think of this. If you had a deer or caribou or anything that had digestion problems, would you find out what they're eating? Yes. Would you find out their stress level? We're just talking common sense. Allergies, ankle, foot, knee, wrist pain, all of these pains. Is that the body having a problem with adapting, a problem with tissue production, a problem with cartilage production? And this, you're looking at a huge structural deviation. That's her 30 adjustments later. And I'm pulling up patients that I saw this week where we got the adjustments. Okay, I mean, it's crystal clear. This gal, I mean, this is just heartbreaking. 24-year-old kid with headaches for 10 years. 10 years. What does that do to a developing kid, her attitude, her emotional status? I mean, I had headaches when I was a kid so much that I would squeeze the head and, just to try and get some relief. Now, difficulty in sleeping, fatigue, neck pain. Does this limit every aspect of her life? Okay. Now, does anyone here think that she got the headaches because she's not taking the right drug? Knowing that 97% of all headaches are coming from the neck, does anyone think that if you're responsible for people, this is why I have no clue at the medical system why they would prescribe a toxic chemical to somebody who's suffering when the body is made in the image and likeness of God and intelligent and giving you symptoms for a reason. The fire alarm is on here, and you're going to treat it with a chemical, like a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory that destroys the building product of cartilage? You want it that increases heart attack 20%, knowing that she's in pain for 10 years, and that sympathetic dominant state is there. That's going to be bowel disorders. I mean, this is criminal. So just fix it. That's before and after. That's 30 adjustments. Okay, and I mean, we're really good chiropractors, but we're not miracle workers. The body is the miracle. It's just nobody respects that it's brilliant. It's made in the image and likeness of God. Now, when you see something like this, and you could see this in Walmart or a store 100 feet away, a normal human kyphosis, and I'm going to bend this into a normal configuration. Okay, it's got a steel wire in there so it doesn't bend really good. Okay, we should see a curve in the thoracic area, right? Yes or yes? Yeah, because that's that pretty picture on the one side. Now, when you look at the patient there, and we do posture analysis on everyone. Why do we do posture analysis on everyone? Because we need to see what they look like. Because if you take this and you look, and the head should be balanced. Is his balanced? No, he's got a massive rolling over at the top of the thoracic area. Now, if you can see this, when I bend this over, the holes where the nerves come out, they're called the intervertebral foramen, open up. Now, no one's going to walk around like this. So where the thoracic should curve out, his is dipping in. And that right there is an adaptation to loss of curve in the neck, and the body is trying to open up those nerves that supply the heart. So you look at this posture. I mean, if you're familiar and you're going to be a doc, so you're going to look at the posture. Okay, you look at this posture, you say, my God, that's an adaptive physiologic response based on some past neck trauma. I'll bet he's got cardiac arrhythmias or heart palpitation. Okay, that's what you look at. This gal, 29-year-old with inflammatory bowel disease, that massive black area, okay, looking at this, okay, that shouldn't be there. We should see an intestinal tract, okay, that should be the width of a stool. That's what comes out, okay, not what you're sitting on. I thought it was funny, you know? Okay, but it should be like this wide, which is a little bit smaller than the vertebrae. It shouldn't look like this. Now, if you're taking toxic food, this destroys the gut bacteria. If you have compromised nerve supply, you're destroying the nerve supply to it, so you're not getting this beautiful peristaltic action. But also, look, why do we have a picture of the neck up there when we're talking digestion? If I step on your foot, putting you in a sympathetic dominant state, does that alter nerve supply to the gut? Yes or yes? So you've got to look at everything. It's called holistic, okay, only because we are in a mechanistic, ridiculous society. This is just common sense. The body with an inflammatory bowel is responding correctly based on the stimulus. Wow, isn't that something? So I want to show you a bad one and a good one. Now that gal, she just started care this week. Okay, I don't have a post x-ray, but see that big black area on the left one? That's a similar inflammatory bowel. This was based on some damage that we can't talk about. Okay, and then that's her 90 days later, and that's a normal bowel. And I got the little red arrow up there. There's a beautiful little half moon at the top. That's what a normal fundus it's called a Magenblas. Okay, in the top of the stomach. That's a normal one. And it's fun too, because we had some patients from Germany, and I thought Magenblas meant something really cool. It means gas bubble in German. Okay, there's a gal that speaks Germany. God, I thought it meant like fundus or something cool. Okay, so let's look at the neck. Now, the curve in the neck is called the arc of life. And when you look at this, not only is it absolutely vital, but at the top of the neck, the brain doesn't stop at the skull. There's an oblong section of the brain that extends the top portion of the neck. And this is the cardiac and respiratory center. It's so important. That's why my boat's called the Arc of Life. I mean, literally, I got a big flag that says the Arc. Okay, not A-R-K, A-R-C. I know a lot of people think I misspelled. Okay, but at the bottom of the neck is where the brachial plexus comes out. Okay, at the bottom of the neck is the nerve for the diaphragm, C3, C4, C5. So you've got breathing here, you've got cardiac and respiratory center, you've got all the brachial plexus, and this is shoulder injuries, carpal tunnel syndrome, golfer's elbow, tennis elbow, everything in that neck. Now, when you see a reversal of the curve, that means that this is normal, bam, you get a reversal of the curve. And then that body is like that, which is right there on that left-hand film. That means that this person injured the posterior longitudinal ligament. This is absolute evidence of trauma. And I have had patients come in told by their doctor, okay, that this must be hereditary. You have a military neck. No, it's not hereditary. You need that cushion because you've got about an 8 to 12 pound head. Okay, mine's probably 15 or 16 pounds. I was complimented too much. Okay, you need that cushion. That's what the curve is there for. So when you're looking at this, you can say, look, you injured a ligament in your neck. You had a whiplash trauma. I had one gal that says, no, I never hurt my neck. I never hurt my neck. I did break 2 ribs when I fell off a motorcycle, but my neck was never hurt. Dear, God doesn't build them this way, okay? But that's a before and after, before and after. Here's a guy, acro yoga, super healthy guy. Is anyone familiar with yoga? You know, like a meditative, beautiful process. That's not this. No, this is, I'm holding a person like this. Their legs are up there. My legs are here. And then we're going to do a cartwheel. It's beautiful to watch. My God, is it dangerous? Okay. But this is just stalwart. Okay. And that's 30 adjustments. But what if, that he wasn't educated? What if you got banged on your head and you went to the standard doctor? What do they give you? Do they say, wow, we're going to take an x-ray? So they take an x-ray. They find loss of curve. They know you have muscle spasms. Do they have the skill set to restore that curve? Or do they have the knowledge base that it can be restored? Or are they pharmaceutically trained? Are they going to give you a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, a muscle relaxant, which is the central nervous system toxin that attacks the base of the brain, and then they're going to have numbness and tingling down the side, and so they'll send you to a physical therapist, which, I mean, some are brilliant. I've got a physical therapist in Mexico that, my God, she's good. Oh, good God, she has totally changed my world. Because, I mean, we work together with a lot of Parkinson's and MS patients, and God, I love that gal. She's amazing. But this, you have to correct the problem. Anything else is just symptom-based. And if you're treating a symptom with a toxic chemical that has a negative effect, that's not smart. No, don't say dumb. Don't say dumb. I told people I wasn't going to say dumb or stupid. Okay, here's a guy. This guy literally is bulletproof, okay? Battalion fire chief. I mean, you got to love him. This is looking at the low back standing up straight. So a normal low back, when you're looking at this, should be straight, okay? How many fires has this guy rushed in where it's like this? Okay, now, where do you adjust? What's wrong? I don't know. That's why what you have to do, you're taking a standing weight bearing, bend it off to the side and see how it works. Because when you bend something off to the side like this, a human being, the discs work just the way you would think they would. They would be narrow on the concavity, wide on the convexity, and you could see that. Okay, now you may say, well, why not an MRI? MRIs are completely inaccurate because when you're laying on a flat plate, gravity is pushing down, the table's pushing up. Inflammation distorts the MRI because if you have any inflammation, I mean, you figure you got a magnet spinning around you, all the hydrogen ions are facing one direction, and a computer that really wants to give you a pretty picture interprets it. So inflammation totally distorts it. And then let's say just for the heck of it, that you have a deviation like this, and do you think the upper above the lumbar is perfect? Come on. Okay, you can't smoke enough weed to understand to think that. Okay, so when you think of that, should you look at the whole body? Knowing that if this entire torso is laterally deviated, there's going to be a problem. You got to correct it. It's called holistic. But in crazy world, you can only work, like if you're doing a work comp case, workman's compensation, you only work on the side of the injury. That just doesn't make sense. It's illogical. So what we do is we bend the body off to the side. Now, this one here on the right, the person's actually bending to the right. Okay, this is a person facing us. And we're seeing most of those discs are functioning correctly, where they're opening like this. But you got a couple of discs where they're open wedged on the inside. Those aren't bending right. Now, when the guy's bending to the left, you only got the top two vertebrae that are bending. All the other ones are stuck. They're bending off to the right. That's called abhorrent or abnormal disc motion. Now, I don't call it a herniated disc. I don't call it a bulging disc. I don't call it a slip disc. Why? Because those terms should be thrown in the trash can. Okay? This is a disc dysfunction. It has to do with the biomechanics, has to do with the trauma to the area, and has to do with the adaptation. You can see that the full picture there, that the entire torso is shoved off to one side. So how could you possibly think that you could operate on one level and, oh, everything is going to get back? No, it's ridiculous. You have to look at the entire structure. You have to look at the physical, chemical, and emotional stressors on the source of the lack of ease. Okay, and this is true, and you'll see every video I got on high blood pressure, bowel disorders, everything else. I keep talking about the three stressors. Let's look at thermography. You're looking at a before and after thermography. When you're looking at thermography, I'm going to make it real simple. Don't be distracted by the colors. What you're looking for is symmetry. Symmetry. Now the cool thing about thermography, okay, it's thousands and thousands of years ago, okay, they would put a thin coating of mud on the body, and any area that mud would patchwork dry. Okay, it was beautiful. Okay, so that's an area of increased metabolic response. Now, lymph drainage for the face and mouth drain to the right chest area. Lymph for the gut drains to the left. Now, there's a theory, this is why 85% of all breast cancers are on the left, because this is we're eating ourselves to death, or we're taking in medications that cause that, okay, because that's where all the lymph drains. Dental and other toxicities, or dental and pulmonary, drain to the upper right. That's why only 15% are there. So when we look at this, we're looking at an asymmetry of the test. So there's got to be some dental toxicities. We're looking at the liver inflamed. That's the liver triangle, massively inflamed. So that has to do with the body processing those toxins. Or there may be an infection or some type of adaptation. Because you got to remember, if you have inflammation, that's how the body heals. Hepatitis, itis, means inflammation. What's causing that inflammation? The body's immune system response to some type of pathogen. So we're looking at a big deal here. Next to it, we're looking at the post one. We're seeing the liver calm down, everything else. But I want you to just look at the left one, because here, when you see the liver inflamed on the front and inflamed on the back, this is dangerous. It means that the body is reaching the limit of its toxic exposure, because everybody can survive certain toxins. Okay, I'm assuming everyone here ate at McDonald's once in their life. Okay, but you can't do that every day. You will die. Okay, so when we see toxins in the front and toxins in the back, this is reaching the limit of the ability of the body to detox the system. And then right next, and that's the right-hand side there, right next to that is where the spleen is. So we're looking at massive problems with blood health. Okay, so what do you have to fix? What do you have to fix in this patient to get her body to a normal adaptive response? What are the three things? Physical stress, chemical stress, and emotional stress. Because emotions are chemicals secreted by your brain on your perception of the environment, or perception of the danger, or perception of the stimulus. Now, this is how we work with the brain. Think of this: anxiety, stress, depression, impulse control. Have you ever heard of those? ADD, attention deficit disorder. I'm telling you, every kid that's come in here with that, they'll sit on the bench. They'll be like, 10, 12, 13, 14 years old, looking at the ground, and the parents going in there, the doctor said this, and the doctor said this, and the doctor said this, and he just won't study, and he just won't. And it's like, okay, I look at the kid and I say, buddy, do your parents force you to play a lot of video games? What are they going to do? They're going to look up and smile. No. Can you play video games without anyone interrupting you, and do it for hours? And they start to smile and they go, this is kind of cool. Okay. Yeah, you don't have a deficit of attention. You just got an issue of paying attention to stuff that you don't value that other people do. Okay. So this has to do with the frontal lobe. It's an area in the brain. What do you want to do when you get older? And I'll always ask them, and they'll say, I don't know, or fireman or policeman. Okay, good. Fireman, policeman, you need to work with your body. So I'll show you how it works. Okay. And they say, I don't know. Okay, good. Think about being a chiropractor, because I'm going to show you how your body works. Yeah. Okay, I'm a recruiter. So you say, man, the frontal lobe in the brain is where anxiety, stress, depression, and impulse control are. This frontal lobe is controlled by this little brain in the cerebellum. That cerebellum gets its input from the spine. Now, you also have a hormonal thing. This is the hypothalamus. Now, the hypothalamus is cool. It's got 1 foot in the nervous system, 1 foot in the endocrine system. So it's like the blending of it. But that hypothalamus gets its input from the cerebellum. So if you have a structure like that, and that is literally a structure of a patient who has taken, I think, 19 medications, okay, that abnormal stimulus to the cerebellum? Yes or yes? Oh my God, horrible, horrible. So what do? You can change the body posture, and that changes the input. But you've got to look at how the body works. You can stimulate that, but then you have the enteric brain, the gut-brain connection. And how many people have healthy guts and anxiety and stress? Not many. How many people have anxiety and stress? Because what does emotional stress do? That emotional stress shuts blood supply down to the gut, so they're not going to be able to adapt. Okay, so this is something that you have to change. You get the gut healthy, you restore the nerve supply to that brain, okay? And then you can reprogram the subconscious. So how do you fix the emotions? Look at this. We're fixing the physical, we're fixing the chemical, and then we reprogram the brain through the emotional. And the subconscious is programmed through repetition. Okay, just repeat over and over. And this is why I like neurolinguistic programming, because you're not BSing yourself. You're actually body posture, volume, intonation, and breathing and reprogramming it. I mean, it works brilliant. Look at this. Adjusting manipulation of bacteria in the gut alters brain signals. Look at this. Gut-brain microbiota axis. Central nervous system, neuroendocrine system, sympathetic and parasympathetic. Does that mean if your kids, if your friends, your relatives, your family are eating fast food every day or toxic food or, we got, sandwiches from Bonds that my buddies had when we were going around Catalina. I mean, it's horrible. It's cold. It's everything else. There was some seasickness on there. I didn't get it because I didn't get one of the sandwiches. I'm not saying that, but that was bad. But toxic stuff can alter your autonomic function because that's a chemical stressor. Kid, breathing, bowel, behavior, and skin issues. Every child that has gone through the certain medical procedures that are forced, particularly in California, that you no longer have rights over your own child. Okay, and these are certain injectables. Find a kid that's gone through the 72 doses of 17 different vaccines and see if they have behavioral bowel breathing or skin issues. Because I'm telling you, if you're over 50, over 60, and you were playing outside, kick the can, you were over at your buddy's house until the street lights came on, how many people had a 5-second rule? Okay, you know what I mean. That pizza thing fell on the ground. 5 seconds, baby. It's 30 seconds at my house. We grew up that way. Okay, not like this. So 3 stressors: physical, chemical, emotional. I cannot stress that those are the 3 keys. These are the 3 keys that have to be addressed under any condition. If you have high blood pressure, do you need to adjust all 3? If you have fibromyalgia, all 3. Yes or yes? It's just common sense. People are not doing this. This is why I'm going to Thailand to explain this. These are normal red blood cells. What else do we do on every patient here? We check the blood. This is a patient that I had at our Mexico clinic, and I've never see those weird things that are different shape. Okay, that's an abnormal shaped blood cell. Now, parasitic infection can cause that. There's a lot of things that can cause it. You're going to see these they look like target cells. That's mineral deficiency. What does mineral deficiency come from? Think of this. Mineral deficient. Under stress, you produce less stomach acid. You need stomach acid in order to absorb minerals. So you can be taking in the minerals, but you're not going to absorb them like that. This is a 35-year-old farmer from Canada, and those are like worms. That's called rouleau coin formation. 5 days later, it looks healthy. But if you don't know to check the blood, you can see that high blood pressure is an adaptation because the blood isn't efficient at holding oxygen. This should be like basic stuff. Dude, you got high blood pressure. Let's look at what your blood looks like. Can it hold oxygen? How's your sleep pattern? How's your bowel movement? Does that make more sense? I mean, there's nothing else that does. So we've got the allopathetic model. Hopefully people are losing faith in that, unless you're still watching CNN. Okay, now we have the health freedom model where you can decide. Okay, is your body intelligent? Does it give symptoms for a reason? Could you find the reason for those symptoms, fix the reason? Because if I'm telling you right now, if you're drugging your adaptation to stress and not addressing the underlying stressors, you are not going to be on the planet that long. Okay, that's a fact. So we can change it now, take charge of our health. And I mean, who in here would allow the government to control their own health? Oh no, I'm sorry, that's the second part. When I put this up, This is what you need. You need proper nerve supply because you live your life through it. You need regular exercise. I'm talking a half hour every day. Yes, brother. Dude, I got to schedule it too. Okay, I'm there every night. Tonight when I go home, I got to be working out until 9 o'clock. It's, yeah. Proper nutrition, sufficient rest, prayer, meditation. And you guys know I do a good upper body work lifting a bunch of people, okay? It just makes sense. There's nothing else you can do. Now, we're going to get into an area that I mean, some of these the Facebooks have been wiped out, websites have been wiped out. We've lost a lot of videos, but this is to get by the ministry of truth. So, and I like this. No man is good enough to govern another man without his consent. Without his consent. And our Constitution says, by consent of the governed. I can't say much more beyond that. So the people that are watching us on Facebook and YouTube, God bless you. Subscribe to our channel. Subscribe to Dr. BVIP. But for God's sake, copy this stuff, share it, send it, because who knows how long it's going to be on. But this cannot be lost. This is knowledge that cannot be lost. God bless you.